Welcome, Queen. When I first started dating, my dating journey did not include being intentional about seeking out a guy who had the character trait of endurance. And often, when we hear the word endurance, we think about sports or athletes training for a competition. But more important than having endurance for leisure activities or sports, endurance is a character trait of love's visible impact. And today I'm going to share why. So, y'all know I love Webster's. And the very first definition that Webster's has for endurance is this: the ability to withstand hardship or adversity. And we all know that life has both hardships and adversity. Yes, we don't like it, but it's part of life. So, what do you do when you're in a situation, when you're in a relationship or considering getting into a relationship? Consider whether or not this guy has endurance, because one thing that relationships will have is conflict. And in order to navigate conflict, especially with confidence, this guy has to have the trait of endurance. Because when conflict rather hits your relationship, he has to have the willingness to endure, to work it out. Because you can't work it out by yourself because you're not in a relationship by yourself. And the same thing can be said for when there is betrayal or wrongdoing in the relationship. Now, that too can be considered conflict, but it's a bit different because all conflict is not necessarily betrayal. Sometimes it may be conflict of scheduling, and that's really different from somebody cheating on you, or somebody cheating treating you wrong. So, what do you do when you have to work through being betrayed, being treated wrong? You have to have a guy who has the trait of endurance, and you yourself have to consider whether or not you have the trait of endurance. And I'm not saying you should stay. Trust me, I'm not saying you should stay. If you are not being treated how you prefer to be treated, of course, you already know what I would recommend. But again, life has different seasons. And when you are married, then you have to think, do I just want to give up on my marriage at the first sign of trouble? And I don't go down the marriage road because y'all know that that's not my lane. But still, again, I will use the example of being married for many, many years and happily. When you see couples who are married for many years, I'm talking 20, 30, 40, maybe even 50 or 60 years, that relationship has endured a number of different things. Don't for one second think that every day was sunshine and rainbows, because it wasn't. And again, you will need endurance, or he will need endurance through the different seasons of life, because as life takes you through different seasons, you're going to evolve. And I once heard it said that one day, if you live long enough, you will wake up to your partner, and your partner will be a stranger. Simply meaning that as we evolve, as we change with life, we become a different version of ourselves. And when we become a different version of ourselves, that requires the person that we're with to make an adjustment if the relationship is going to be sustained and maintained and thrive. So consider that, especially as you go and you get into relationships, and sickness may be a part of the relationship, because we know as we age, we get sick. Sometimes terminal sickness like cancer. And there is a such thing as caregiver's fatigue, where the person just, although they loved you, they got tired along the way. And even if they may have stayed until you recovered, the relationship didn't last. So consider whether or not the guy you are interested in, or the guy you are currently with, has the character trait of endurance. Because people often say we grew apart. but their relationship never had endurance often from the start. As always, I'm Coach Sam telling you that 24 hours doesn't seem long, but in 24 hours, you can change your life. So go ahead and do something life changing now.